All right, let's dive in. Imagine you're on the verge of making a massive, multi-million-dollar decision, one that's going to shape the entire future of your company. You're expanding. So, what's the single most critical factor you need to nail down? Well, we're about to find out, and I'll bet it's not what you're thinking.
Your first instinct, my first instinct, is to look at the numbers, right? The biggest incentive, the lowest tax rate, the cheapest piece of land. But what if the most valuable asset in this whole game isn't something you can even put on a spreadsheet? What if it's all about confidence and clarity?
To really get this, we've got to put ourselves in the room where it all happens. So let's break down the anatomy of one of these incredibly high-stakes decisions.
Okay, picture this. You're in the boardroom, spreadsheets are glowing on every laptop. The short list of locations is down to the wire. The entire board is looking right at you, waiting for that final call. The founder is sweating over cash flow projections, while the exec team's grand plan to double production just hangs in the balance. I mean, the pressure's real. Now, in that kind of pressure cooker environment, the go-to conversation is always about the incentive package, right? How big is the check? But that's exactly the conventional wisdom that we need to challenge here. This quote it gets right to the heart of the matter. It completely reframes the entire decision. It's not about the size of the incentive check. It's about confidence. Can you actually move forward knowing you're not about to hit a brick wall of unexpected problems? That's what really matters. So, okay, if confidence is the real prize, how do you get it? Well, the solution is what our source calls the ROI of certainty. It's this idea that predictability itself has a tangible and super valuable return on investment. Let's take a look at what that actually means. The whole thing starts with this time frame, 60 to 90 days. Now, this isn't some arbitrary deadline meant to rush you. No, this is a signal. It's the sign of a structured, predictable approval process. It's your first real, tangible piece of certainty.
And here's what that structure looks like in practice. See? A vague, fuzzy plan suddenly becomes an actionable calendar. You know your key milestones, which turns all that guesswork into a concrete schedule. It's a real roadmap, not just a bunch of wishful thinking. So what's the actual impact of having this kind of predictability? Well, it creates this amazing ripple effect of efficiency. Suddenly, contractors can be scheduled with confidence. Financing closes without all those expensive what-if clauses. You can start hiring and training people before the ink is even dry on the deal. See? Clarity creates momentum. And this slide just lays it out perfectly, doesn't it? On one side, you've got uncertainty, which just breeds hesitation, delay, and risk. On the other, certainty brings clarity, momentum, and confidence. It's a totally fundamental shift in your ability to get things done. Now, the second pillar here is tax predictability. And you have to remember, an expansion isn't a one-year bet. It's a 10-year commitment. Having a defined multi-year tax schedule lets your finance team model long-term growth with actual, real precision. It's not just about cutting costs, it's about getting rid of that gut-wrenching volatility. But this goes even deeper than just having smooth operations and a budget you can count on. It starts to create this really powerful compounding effect that ripples through the entire organization. And here's where we get to the human side of all this. With transparent processes and clear timelines, you know what happens? The stress level in the boardroom just plummets. Leaders can make calm, grounded decisions because they aren't constantly fighting fires of uncertainty. It literally stabilizes the leadership team itself. And this is where we see that compounding effect really kick in. Faster internal approvals? That builds stronger trust with your investors. Getting your workforce onboarded quicker means you're operational sooner. All of this frees up your leadership to stop troubleshooting and finally focus on what really moves the needle: innovation and growth.
So, how do you actually put this into practice? It sounds great, right? Let's walk through the new playbook for how you should evaluate your next expansion, all based on this core principle of certainty. The very first question in this new playbook is absolutely crucial. Are you looking beyond that big headline incentive? You know, that big, flashy number that's designed to grab your attention? Is it really telling you the whole story? It's time to dig a lot deeper. Next, you have to challenge any vague promises you hear about timing. Don't just settle for, oh yeah, we'll get it done fast. Ask them specifically for a documented, structured timeline. Ask them if there's a repeatable process that other companies have already successfully gone through. Then, and this is a big one, demand proof, not promises. Is a site truly shovel-ready? Ask to see the engineering reports, the zoning approvals, the actual infrastructure documents. You want cold, hard facts, not just some slick marketing brochure.
And please, don't forget about long-term tax clarity. Push for a serious conversation about what your financial model is going to look like in year 5 or even year 10. That kind of predictability is an incredibly powerful strategic advantage.
And finally, this might be the most important question you can ask. What happens after the deal is signed? A real partner is invested in your long-term success, not just in getting a photo op at the ribbon-cutting ceremony. Their answer to that question will tell you everything you need to know.
You know, at the end of the day, it really all comes down to this. When the process is clear, when your partners are transparent, and when the future is predictable, expansion stops being a gamble. It's no longer a terrifying leap into the unknown. Instead, it feels exactly like what it's supposed to be: progress. And that right there is the true return on certainty.